Licorice Pizza, new film made by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Alana from the band Haim, Cooper Hoffman, son of the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, and as well Sean Penn, Tom Waits, Bradley Cooper, and a bunch of other people in supporting roles. Like most of Paul Thomas Anderson's films, this one is much more character-driven than it is plot-driven, which means that there isn't a strong story that's going somewhere. Instead, we are mostly just spending time with the characters, watching some of them grow and learn something about themselves, and some of them not. It also happens to be a period piece, taking place in the 1970s Los Angeles, and in the vibe that it creates, it reminded me quite strongly of movies like Dazed and Confused, Boogie Nights, also by PTA, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is interesting, that last one, because I seem to remember in one of the interviews, it was either PTA or Quentin Tarantino, saying about them both that they have this kind of friendly rivalry of sorts, where they admire each other very much and they try to outdo the other one sometimes with their movies. And in some ways, Licorice Pizza does feel like PTA's version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, of being a love letter to the Los Angeles of old, in this case then the early 1970s. In the opening scene of the film, the 15-year-old Gary meets an older 25-year-old girl named Alana. He is instantly attracted to her, but he generally has this sort of hustler personality where he just goes for things he has good feeling about. So he immediately invites her out on a dinner date. Alana tries to brush it off. Obviously, she doesn't want to go on a date with someone who she considers a kid. But then, he's very persistent, and out of sheer curiosity, she does show up. And so the two of them begin a friendship, with Gary always hoping for more. Just hanging out together, getting involved in various adventures and business opportunities, and in the process discovering things about themselves. So I think what the movie really is about is two people who are sort of uncomfortable and maybe even slightly unhappy with where they are in life. With their age specifically. Gary is 15, but he acts like he's older. He wants to be considered a man, a cool man. He has a good business sense. He definitely feels his youth is holding him back from some of the things that he would be able to do. Meanwhile, Alana is working a dead-end job when we meet her, and she's sort of struggling with the responsibilities of early adulthood and perhaps subconsciously hoping for a return to simpler times. Times of childhood, less responsibility, which she finds with Gary. And the recurring theme of the film is their differences, which have to do with age, the different ways they process and react to some of the things that happen. And I think that in some ways, Licorice Pizza is this twist on the coming-of-age formula, a refreshing one at that. I love the way it's shot. It has a very warm and relaxing vibe, and the cinematography really pulls you into the film. There's an amazing soundtrack with a lot of cool songs from the time period. I think the casting is fantastic. Specifically, the two leads look refreshingly normal, like real people and not Hollywood stars. They don't have perfect skin, perfect teeth, they're not conventionally attractive, and despite that, or rather because of that, you really buy them as regular, real people and enjoy spending time with them. It also helps that both of them have great chemistry with the other one. There are also a couple of really memorable supporting performances, particularly the comedic ones. There is a character who is this American owner of a Japanese restaurant, and his appearances are just filled with outlandish casual racism, and they're disarmingly funny. And the whole section of the film, which involves Bradley Cooper as the infamous real-life Hollywood producer John Peters, is hysterical. I mean, several times you think that that's the end of it, and then somehow things turn worse still. It's very, very entertaining and laugh out loud funny. And yeah, I guess it's just a very good film overall. Just be aware that it's not one of those movies which sweep you with an engaging plot rushing from one event to the next, but rather one of those that want you to relax and get into its groove and spend some time with these people in this time period and just enjoy yourself. And at that, it really succeeds.